Hi friends, it's Julia. Today I'm using a kit that I created in September 2019 for the Minikit Monday Facebook challenge group. And so this kit has been sitting around for a while because it's August 2020 when I'm finally using it. So it's almost a year that I've had it in my stash as a kit, but it's the papers and embellishments have been in my stash for a lot longer than that, I promise you. There's nothing brand new in this kit. And that's okay, because that's what making kits is all about, is to be able to get your stash used, right? So that's what I'm doing here. I have pulled in an old SCI paper collection as the base of my kit. And some of the papers I'm not really keen on. And this set of papers here, there are two of each pattern paper, cardstock, all of them. There's two of each. So that background with the foiled copper dots on it is not my favorite. And so rather than try and figure out how to use that, I'm opting to cover it all up. And you'll see what I mean. I am doing the Allison Davis 6x6 sketch class through Scrapbook Generation. And this is actually from week 5, the sketch from week 5. And so all around the perimeter of the paper, you saw I cut those center pieces down to 6x6. There's 3 that go across there. I've cut them down to 6x6, and they create the center of my layout. And then all around that are photos. And so you'll see as I go through here, I'll just continue to pull in. And these are all photos that I took. We were at a family reunion in Mississippi, and everybody was staying at my mother's house. And so when that happens, there's not a lot of excitement down there. And she has an older internet system that the more people that are on it, the slower it goes. And so what typically will happen is, we'll pull out the cards. In this instant, we pulled out the Uno cards, and everybody was sitting around in the floor playing Uno. Other times we'll pull out just regular cards and we'll play different games with regular cards. I think board games have even been pulled out, for these different times at her house. It's very rural where she lives. She lives at a lake resort, but far enough away from the lake that you can't just walk out the front door and be at the lake. You have to walk about a mile to get to the lake, but you know, where she's at is totally worth it. It's fun. You can leave all your electronics behind for the most part. For me, reading books is way funner than playing on the internet or watching movies or any of that stuff. So I tend to do catch up on a lot of reading while I'm there. But this day, all the kids were sitting around, or it may have been evening time. They played Uno so frequently that, you know, all the kids, the grown children, as well as their children, the grandchildren and the great grandchildren were all sitting about playing this game of Uno with their significant others. The olders were helping the youngers, and they were all just having a great time. And of course, there was cheating going on. You know how that goes. You're always going to have those people when you have that number of people in a group. There's going to be cheaters. There just are. And so, as the day is going by, this game lasted for several hours, and they were having a great time. People would come and go. So there you see I've got all of my photos laid out around the edges. Now I'm going to have a couple of central photos, only because it showed the younger kids holding their Uno cards in their hands, the two smaller ones there, and then the older grandchildren. It shows in the other one. There's a few great grandchildren, but the bigger photo is most of the grandchildren playing cards. So yeah, and then it's a matter of going through and making sure everything is glued down appropriately. And those papers, like I said, the polka dot paper, that is underneath won't show. So it was kind of fun to go around and cover up that. I could have used any paper in my stash that I'm not crazy about. And I typically have a few pieces pulled out to the side that are not my favorite papers that I use the back sides of, or ones that I just don't care for. And I'll have those over to the side to know that I can use them to back photo or back layouts like this. And so that's what I'm doing here. Just covering up all those polka dots. Some of the photos, I think most of them are 3x3 going around. There are a few that are 3x6. And I won't show you the sketch that I'm using, but I can tell you I follow it fairly closely. Only when it comes down to the embellishment portion of it do I change things up a bit from the original sketch. Now that I have everything down, I had taped those two, just bits and pieces of tape along the back, washi tape along the back to hold them together while I put all the layouts down. And so now I'll go through and trim up where it needs to be trimmed up along the way. I don't know, sometimes when I'm doing 2-page layouts, sometimes I feel like I need to do something, keep them together like I had them taped together to make it feel like a cohesive 112x24 layout as I'm going along. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes. So yeah, this one, I created a kit for Minikit Monday. Usually I will create kits for the Counterfeit Kit Challenge blog, and but for whatever reason I chose to do a Minikit Monday. And this one is a fairly large kit, but it's not as large as some that I make. I think over at Minikit Monday, because they do one layout a week, they don't do as many as, I think, to me, the Counterfeit Kit Challenge monthly kit is enough to last me for an entire month, sometimes longer than that, depending on how much effort I put into working through it. Whereas the Minikit Monday is really set up for basically 4 to 5 layouts. And so even though this is probably larger than that, I still feel like it would have worked well for just 4 or 5 layouts, and I could have put the rest of it away. But I like keeping a kit together until I have used up all of my pattern paper. And I know that's weird. A lot of people don't feel that way. They feel like if they get 2 or 3 layouts out of a kit, they can put it away and be okay with that. And sometimes I will get 2 or 3 layouts and put it away and then come back to it at a later time. And that's okay too. When I had opened this box up to create with it, I found several layouts in it that I had already done that too. I had created them and then walked away. Put this kit up and then, yeah. So I've had it back out and I've been using it because I want to get it used up. We're coming up to the last quarter of 2020 and I still have 4 kits from 2020 plus another one, the collective kit, that I want to continue working through before the end of the year, to hopefully get them used up. And summertime, I don't make as many kits, I don't think, as I do in the fall and winter and spring. I tend to make one every single month, whereas in the summertime, I kind of skip them on occasion. Yeah. So I'm auditioning different bits and pieces here. I've got my title down and I used a pretty bright purpley pink color, fuchsia maybe color, into the layout to use there as my title. And it's just simple, playing Uno. And so I will go through and try out multiple embellishments, journaling spaces, all of that. And I decided I was going to cut that little flower off the edge of that paper because I might need to use it somewhere else, right? Because obviously I don't have enough paper or embellishments in my kit. So anywho, I'm going to go through here and you'll see me audition these pieces around the paper as I go. Not traditionally how I do things as far as partially putting them down and then going back and adding like the foam adhesive and things, but it works. Every time, you know, I do a layout, I tend to follow along with a certain process. And uh, the first thing is, of course, picking out my pattern paper and putting it down along with the photos in whatever arrangement I'm going to have them in. Then I go through and I add my larger embellishment pieces, whether it be like these with the different die cut pieces or stickers or whatever I might have. And then I will go through and add smaller embellishments. And then finally, I will go through and add in all the finishing touches, which to me are enamel dots or bling or brads or anything like that. So I'm just continuing to add these embellishments down. And I'm not going to have the traditional 3 embellishment spots really. I kind of do, but in a random way. It looks like there's more than 3. Um, so obviously the one there that I have below the photos where I added those 2 large floral bits, that is not necessarily a cluster in and of itself, and neither is on the opposite side where I have the floral clusters down. And you'll see as I go along how I'm going to arrange things. I took some little bits and pieces that I had die cut out previously and cut they were heart borders cut out of adhesive sticker paper. And so I just peeled the backing off and cut them up and put them where I wanted them on some of the different photos. And so you see here, I have a bin of smaller embellishments and I'm just going through and deciding where I want different things to go. That is actually a label piece that I had cut out from some scraps that I have already created with the kit. I have pieces that I have stamped out previously and fussy cut, and they were in my leftover bin. Yeah, and I just pulled them in. And I think if you go back to my playlist from September 2019, you will find the original kit there in all of its glory. And like I said, for my taste and how I normally create kits, it's not as large as what I would normally make, even though it's pretty large. So I'm just going through here and I felt like I used a ton of dimensional adhesive on this layout. And I think only to give the extra dimension on the inside on those pattern papers because the photos surrounding the layout, they just make it feel like a super busy layout. And I guess maybe I should not have used that busier paper in the center there and on the right side. I maybe should have used more solid colors there to kind of tone it down and make it feel less busy. But it is what it is. And the layout's done, so I'm for sure not going back and redoing anything. So there where I'm putting the brads at, those are actually going to be areas where I am putting clusters together. So you will see, even though I have things spread out, those I feel like the bigger brads are make it feel like that's where my clusters are going to go. Even though I spread the different embellishments out. I know, I'm weird that way. Some days I follow design methods to the letter. Other times I just do my own thing. A lot of times I do my own thing. Anywho, so yeah. Are you guys playing along with the current Minikit Monday kits that they are creating every month? Do you guys create kits at all? I would love to know if you do. I love, love, love going over to the Minikit Monday Facebook group or to the Counterfeit Kit Challenge Facebook group and seeing all the kits that people create. I have started subscribing to a ton of people so that I can watch their whole kit process. And I love it when people put their kits as well as their layouts into a playlist, and it allows me to go through and see the original kit, everything they created with it, and maybe what's left over, so that I have an idea of how much of their stash they got used up. Because really and truly, um, I use a ton of supplies. Even though my embellishments, I don't feel like I got a ton of them used up, and I still have plenty to go back into my stash when I complete a kit. When I start a kit and I have 20 to 30 pieces of pattern paper in that kit and I have cut into every single one, I feel like I've accomplished like going to the moon. You know what I mean? So that's for me because I'm a paper addict. And so using up the pattern paper is always my best and biggest accomplishment when I'm creating layouts from a kit. The smaller embellishments and stickers, I don't mind because they can be spread out to be used over multiple different kits and layouts as time goes by. But the pattern paper, I feel like once you break it up from a collection, it makes it a bit harder to use. Or in my case, it does. Sometimes I go through my stash, or when I finish a layout, when I finish a kit, if I have some pattern papers left over, I will sometimes go back and add them into my stash. And then I find that I don't pull them out all that often. You know, they're just in the random color bins and they don't get pulled as often as from my kits when they're with the entire collection. So I'm getting down here to the very end. I'm putting the dates on there, and it just says 2019. And right above the larger photo, I'm going to put July down. And I've already put down my little bits of bling. So I'm really, you know, at the point where I'm done. I'm going to add some journaling, and then that's going to be it. You know, my layout's going to be complete. I will have some photos at the end to show you the close-ups of the different embellishment clusters or embellishments across the layout. And I hope and you know that I have inspired you guys to get into your stash, and if not create kits, just to create layouts, you know, or cards or whatever it is that you do with your stash. I hope this video inspires you to get in there and start doing excuse me, start using up some of your own products. I'm just edging around the alpha letters to make them pop up a little bit against that darker background, that busier background there in the middle. Just a little bit of outlining around them makes them pop pretty good off the page. Anyway, that's it, guys. That's my layout. I appreciate you being here today. And I would love it, love it, love it if you would flip me a thumbs up. And if you choose and want to subscribe. I always love to see new subscribers on my channel. I appreciate you guys so much. Have a great day, everyone, and I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.